The morning sun spilled over the horizon, casting a golden sheen across the manicured lawns of Crestwood Heights, a condominium complex that stood like a monument to order and symmetry. Emily Harper arrived on that brisk April day, her 2-year-old son, Liam, perched on her hip, his small hands clutching her jacket. The pale brick buildings rose in neat rows, their windows glinting as if scrubbed clean each dawn. Perfectly trimmed hedges flanked the stone path to the entrance, and a pristine sign greeted her. Crestwood Heights, a place to call home. The words felt warm, inviting. Yet as Emily stepped closer, she couldn't shake a faint uneasy stiffness lurking beneath the polished surface. She waved at a gray-haired man sipping coffee on his balcony, his smile broad and genuine. "Morning," he called, raising his mug. A woman in her 40s, peering through the lobby's glass doors, offered only a tight-lipped nod before vanishing inside. Liam wriggled in Emily's arms, his wide hazel eyes darting around, eager to explore this new world. At 2, he was a whirlwind of curiosity, but also fragile bright lights and loud noises often sent him into a spiral of distress. Emily tightened her grip, whispering, "We're home, buddy," as much to reassure herself as him. The lobby was a study in understated elegance. Polished marble floors, lush potted plants, and the soft hum of recessed lighting. A man in a Navy uniform approached Carlos, the building superintendent, his grin as warm as the sunlight outside. "Need a hand with those bags, MS?" "Harper?" he asked, gesturing to the duffel slung over her shoulder. She smiled but shook her head. "Thanks, Carlos, but I've got it. I want to get a feel for the place myself." He nodded, tipping his cap, and left her to it. The elevator ride to the 3rd floor was brief but tense. Its fluorescent glow buzzed faintly, and Liam whimpered, burying his face in her neck. Emily murmured soothing words, her mind already racing with ideas, maybe a dimmer light, something gentle to ease his nerves. As the doors slid open, she stepped into a hallway lined with identical beige doors, each adorned with a plain gray mat. All except one. Unit 3C boasted a VY Brandt, hand-woven mat, and a brass nameplate etched with Margaret Ellison in elegant script. Emily recalled Carlos's offhand remark during her tour. "Mess. Ellison's the HOA treasurer likes things just so." At the time, it had seemed tri-VYL. Now, it lingered in her mind like a warning. Settling into Unit 3D, Emily spent her first evening unpacking while Liam toddled around, testing the space with tentative steps. She drafted a note that night, a simple introduction. "Hi from Unit 3D, Emily and Liam Harper. We're new here and excited to meet you. Liam's too and full of energy. Feel free to reach out if you need anything." She slipped copies into her neighbor's mail slots the next morning, hoping to break the ice. At 3C, she hesitated, the nameplate gleaming under the hall light, then slid the note through. Later that day, she tackled Liam's sensitive VY tie head-on. The lobby's harsh lighting had already proven a challenge, so she rigged up a strand of battery-powered fairy lights in a corner near the elevator. Their soft, pastel glow calmed Liam instantly. Reached out, giggling as his fingers brushed the bulbs. Emily secured them with removable adhesive strips, careful not to mar the walls. She'd cleared it with a former board member, Mrs. Grayson, before signing the lease. Liam's pediatrician had even written a letter recommending such accommodations. It felt like a small VY Tory until a sharp cough shattered the moment. Emily turned to face a woman with a rigid posture and an air of quiet authority. She wore a tailored blazer and skirt, her dark hair pulled into a severe bun. "Hello," Emily began, forcing a smile. "I'm Emily Harper from Unit 3D, yes," the woman interrupted, her voice clipped. "I'm Margaret HOA treasurer. I received your note." Her eyes flicked to the fairy lights, then to Liam, who blinked up at her with innocent curiosity. "Those are decorations in a common area. They're for Liam," Emily explained quickly. "He's sensitive to bright lights. It's a medical thing. They're battery-powered, no damage, and Mrs. Grayson approved them before we moved in. Margaret's lips thinned. Mrs. Grayson is no longer on the board. We have standards here, MS. Harper. Personal items can't just clutter shared spaces. Her tone was polite but unyielding, like steel wrapped in silk. I get that, Emily said, keeping her voice steady. I'd be happy to discuss it with the board if needed. Margaret gave a curt nod. That might be necessary. Rules are rules. She turned and strode away, her heels clicking against the marble like a metronome. Over the next few weeks, Emily kept the lights subtle, switching them on only when Liam grew restless. She moved them higher, out of sight lines, hoping to avoid further friction. But one morning, a typed note appeared under her door. Notice of non-compliance decorative lighting in the lobby via OLAT's Crestwood Heights aesthetic standards. Remove immediately. Emily's stomach dropped. She texted her husband, James, who was away on a work trip. This is ridiculous, he replied. We'll sort it out when I'm back. Don't let it get to you. But it did. The formality of the note, Margaret's inflexibility, it made Emily feel like an intruder. Whispers from neighbors began to paint a fuller picture. Mr. Daniels, the coffee-sipping man from the balcony, shared how Margaret had once demanded he remove a potted plant from his doorstep, citing clutter. A young mother, Priya, recounted Margaret scolding her kids for Leah VYing a soccer ball in the courtyard. She's like the building's dictator, Priya muttered. Yet not everyone agreed, Mrs. Chun, a soft-spoken widow, adored the fairy lights, calling them little stars that brightened her evening walks. Emily realized Margaret's iron grip wasn't universal, but that only deepened her dilemma. How to fight a battle she hadn't signed up for. Relief came when Rajesh Kumar, another board member, called. He'd seen her emails and Liam's medical letter. I think we can work this out, he said. Let's bring it to the next meeting. Grateful, Emily and James Hode returned just in time attended the gathering in the community lounge. Margaret sat at the table's head, arms crossed, her expression a mask of cool detachment. Emily laid out her case. Liam's needs, the doctor's note, her willingness to compromise. Rajesh and another member, Claren Nguyen, nodded thoughtfully, citing past exceptions for wheelchair ramps and SARE VYC dogs. Margaret, however, was unmoved. Sympathy doesn't override policy, she said flatly. If we allow this, what's next? Neon signs? Lawn flamingos? We have a cohesive look to maintain. The board settled on a compromise, a 1-month trial for the lights, with resident feedback to decide their fate. Margaret's scowl suggested she'd fight it to the end, but Emily clung to hope until 3 nights later, when that hope shattered. Returning from a grocery run, she found the lobby corner in chaos. The fairy lights lay in pieces, their bulbs crushed, wires mangled. Liam, in James's arms, whimpered at the sight. Emily knelt, tears stinging her eyes as she gathered the debris. Who would do this? She whispered. Priya emerged from the elevator, gasping. Oh, Emily, no. Did you see anything? Emily shook her head, her throat tight. Word spread fast. Neighbors gathered, murmuring condolences, and Margaret's name surfaced repeatedly. Mr. Daniel swore he'd overheard her grumbling about those blasted lights that morning. No proof, but the suspicion hung heavy. That night, after Liam slept, Emily and James sat in silence, the broken lights awound between them. This isn't just about rules, Emily said, voice trembling. It's personal. James nodded, jaw tight. We replace them. If they break again, we keep going. This is for Liam. The next day, something extraordinary happened. Priya texted Emily, pulling her into a group chat buzzing with neighbors. Mr. Daniels, Mrs. Chun, even Carlos. They were furious, inspired, and ready to act. If she smashed one strand, Priya wrote, let's give her 100. The plan was audacious. Flood Crestwood Heights with fairy lights, all battery-powered, all removable, a silent rebellion against Margaret's tyranny. They pooled money, bought boxes of motion sensor strands, and set a date. On a muggy June night, a dozen residents met in the parking lot, their cars stuffed with lights. Emily held a box labeled Liam's stars, a gift for Mrs. Chun. James grinned, adrenaline pumping. Let's do this. At midnight, they crept inside, splitting into teams. Hallways glowed as they worked soft whispers, stifled laughter, the thrill of defiance. By 3 a.m., every floor shimmered with fairy lights along baseboards and ceilings, triggered by motion into gentle bursts of color. Exhausted but elated, they dispersed, wondering what dawn would bring. The next evening, Crestwood Heights came alive. Kids raced down halls, giggling as lights flared with each step. Elderly residents marveled at the safety and charm. Emily watched, heart swelling, as neighbors embraced the magic. Then Margaret appeared. Her scowl deepened with every flicker, and by morning, a notice graced the lobby board. Unauthorized lighting VUI OLAT's bylaws. Remove immediately or face fines. M. Ellison. But instead of compliance, it sparked outrage. Residents demanded to know which bylaw applied, none did, not explicitly. Clara and Rajesh intervened, clarifying that Margaret had acted alone, and the board's re-VUI-EW was ongoing. Margaret doubled down, yanking batteries from lights, tearing strand from walls. Neighbors countered, replacing them faster than she could destroy. Frustrated, Clara and Rajesh pushed for security cameras, installed within days. A week later, footage caught Margaret red-handed, ripping lights from the third floor, shards scattering like confetti. The EVY Denke was undeniable. An emergency meeting packed the lounge with residents. Clara presented the photos, her voice steady. Vandalism by an HOA officer is unacceptable. Margaret sputtered about aesthetics, but Rajesh cut in. You don't get to destroy property over it. The board voted Margaret was stripped of her title, suspended pending re-VUI-EW. Cheers erupted. Clara offered her a lesser role on a decor committee, a peace offering she accepted with a curt nod before storming out. The light stayed, approved for a 6-month trial that became permanent by fall. Residents maintained them, adding personal touches, wreaths, flowers, signs under new, flexible guidelines. Liam thrived, his meltdowns rare, his laughter echoing through glowing halls. One crisp October night, a note slipped under Emily's door. I regret the trouble. M. Ellison. It wasn't much, but it was something. By winter, Crestwood Heights buzzed with life. A lobby Christmas tree, adorned with fairy lights, drew residents together. Kids sang. Adults swapped stories. Margaret, hovering on the edges, placed the star atop it at Clara's urging, her face softening for a fleeting moment. James squeezed Emily's hand as Liam stared, awestruck. From a fight over lights to this, he murmured. Emily smiled. It's more than lights now. It's home. The fairy lights remained, a symbol of resilience, turning Crestwood Heights into a beacon of warmth and unity, a place where a mother's love for her son sparked a quiet revolution. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.